Here's a truth few people want to hear. Trying to earn a narcissist's respect by pleasing them is pointless. Every compliment, every effort to be perfect, every attempt to appease, none of it works. The only way they respect you isn't by bending to their rules, it's by standing firm, honoring yourself, and refusing to compromise your boundaries. That's the game changer. If this resonates, pause the video, hit that like button, and share this message. Understanding how boundaries work against manipulation is your first step toward empowerment and gaining genuine respect. The sudden realization that most attempts to earn a narcissist's respect through pleasing, flattering, or bending to their will are completely ineffective. Many people enter relationships with narcissists believing that if they are perfect, attentive, or accommodating, they will gain approval, admiration, or even genuine respect. The truth, however, is far harsher. Narcissists do not respect those who seek validation from them because seeking approval positions you as subordinate in their eyes. This cold shock hits like a jolt because it challenges everything you thought you knew about influence, relationships, and control. You may have spent years trying to appease them, trying to earn their praise, or going out of your way to avoid conflict, only to discover that respect is not granted for obedience or perfection. Narcissists respect strength, self-possession, and independence, qualities that cannot be manufactured through people-pleasing. The shock is compounded because it forces a shift in perspective. The behaviors that seemed helpful or necessary were actually counterproductive, giving the narcissist more control while leaving you emotionally drained. Understanding this moment is critical because it lays the foundation for change. It reveals that the path to respect is not through compromise or appeasement, but through firm boundaries, self-respect, and consistent demonstration of independence. The cold shock serves as a wake-up call, showing that your energy is better spent honoring yourself rather than trying to manipulate or earn approval from someone whose admiration is conditional and fleeting. It is the first step toward empowerment and reclaiming control over your life. Boundaries are non-negotiable is the stage where you begin to understand that the only way to gain a narcissist's respect is by clearly defining and enforcing limits. Narcissists thrive on testing, bending, and breaking boundaries to maintain control, and any hesitation or inconsistency on your part signals weakness they can exploit. They do not respond to pleading, charm, or justification because those behaviors reinforce the dynamic of control and dependency. Establishing firm, non-negotiable boundaries communicates strength, self-respect, and independence, qualities narcissists instinctively recognize and ultimately respect. These boundaries are not just rules for behavior. They are a reflection of your personal values, your limits, and your refusal to be manipulated. It is crucial that these boundaries are enforced consistently. Any wavering or compromise invites further testing and undermines your authority in the relationship. Non-negotiable boundaries are also essential because they protect your emotional energy, preventing the narcissist from draining you or dictating your sense of worth. Over time, consistent enforcement of boundaries changes the dynamic. The narcissist begins to recognize that their usual tactics, manipulation, pressure, or guilt, will not work, and this realization forces them to engage with you on your terms, not theirs. This stage is critical because it demonstrates that respect cannot be demanded, earned through appeasement, or negotiated. It is a byproduct of self-respect, strength, and clear limits. By prioritizing your boundaries, you assert your value and create a framework for interactions where manipulation is minimized, and genuine acknowledgement of your autonomy becomes inevitable. Self-respect equals External respect is about understanding that the foundation of earning a narcissist's respect begins with how you treat yourself. Narcissists do not respond to flattery, people-pleasing, or constant compliance because those behaviors signal submission rather than strength. Respect is not something they grant to those who seek validation. It is something they recognize in people who demonstrate confidence, self-worth, and unwavering principles. When you prioritize your own needs, make decisions that honor your values, and refuse to compromise your integrity for their approval, you project a sense of authority and self-possession that commands attention. This is powerful because narcissists instinctively notice strength. They respond reluctantly to those who refuse to be controlled or manipulated. Self-respect is also a protective measure. It sets a standard for how you allow others, especially narcissists, to treat you. When they see that you will not tolerate disrespect or exploitation, they are forced to adjust their behavior if they want any semblance of interaction with you. This stage is crucial because it shifts the dynamic entirely. Instead of chasing their approval or trying to win respect through compliance, you create a reality where respect is a natural consequence of your independence and confidence. By demonstrating that your value does not depend on their validation, you prevent manipulation and reinforce your boundaries. Ultimately, self-respect signals that you are not a passive participant in their games, and it establishes the framework for authentic, earned respect from someone who typically only responds to strength and unwavering self-possession. Consistency is crucial. Emphasizes that earning a narcissist's respect requires unwavering adherence to your boundaries, values, and principles. Narcissists are highly attuned to inconsistency, hesitation, or compromise because these behaviors signal weakness and create openings for manipulation. If you set a boundary but waver under pressure, if you assert your needs but then cave to demands, or if you attempt to negotiate your worth, the narcissist quickly perceives that your limits are flexible and your authority is negotiable. Consistency communicates strength, reliability, and self-assurance, the very traits narcissists respect, even if they do so reluctantly. It demonstrates that your value is not contingent on their approval and that attempts to control or exploit you will not succeed. This principle applies not just to words, but to actions, decisions, and emotional responses. Every time you respond in alignment with your boundaries and principles, you reinforce a predictable standard of behavior that the narcissist cannot easily manipulate. Over time, this steady, consistent presence creates a new dynamic. They begin to see that their usual tactics, pressure, guilt, charm, or provocation, do not work. Consistency is also essential for your own empowerment. It reduces internal doubt, minimizes emotional drain, and strengthens your ability to engage with the narcissist from a place of clarity rather than reaction. By remaining consistent, you transform interactions from attempts at negotiation or appeasement into demonstrations of firm self-possession, which is the key to gaining any genuine acknowledgement or respect from someone who typically only responds to strength. Emotional independence is about detaching your sense of self-worth from the narcissist's approval or reactions. Narcissists thrive on emotional reactions. They feed off guilt, frustration, anger, or the desperation that comes when someone seeks their validation. When you are emotionally dependent on them, every interaction becomes an opportunity for manipulation, and your attempts to earn respect are perceived as weakness. Emotional independence means that your confidence, decisions, and self-value are not contingent on their responses. You maintain calm, clarity, and composure, even in situations designed to provoke or unsettle you. This independence prevents them from exploiting your emotions and shifts the power dynamic. They recognize that you cannot be easily controlled or manipulated, which is one of the only ways to earn any acknowledgement or respect from a narcissist. It also allows you to enforce boundaries without guilt or compromise, because your sense of worth does not fluctuate based on whether they approve or react favorably. Emotional independence is crucial because it demonstrates that you operate from self-possession rather than dependency. Narcissists, who are accustomed to controlling others through emotional leverage, are forced to confront the reality that their usual tactics will not work. By maintaining detachment from their approval, you create a dynamic where respect is based on your strength and self-reliance, not on attempts to please or justify yourself. Emotional independence transforms interactions from attempts at manipulation or control into demonstrations of unwavering self-respect, which is the language narcissists ultimately recognize and respond to. Consequences without drama is about demonstrating strength and earning a narcissist's respect by enforcing boundaries calmly and without emotional overreaction. Narcissists often provoke, guilt, or manipulate to test limits and observe how much control they have over someone. Reacting with anger, pleading, or emotional outbursts only reinforces their perception that they can influence or dominate you. Instead, showing that there are clear consequences for disrespect, manipulation, or boundary violations, and doing so without drama, signals that you are serious, consistent, and unshakable. For example, if a narcissist crosses a limit, calmly enforcing the established boundary, walking away, or disengaging demonstrates authority without giving them emotional fuel. This approach communicates that you are in control of your own life and emotions, and that their usual tactics of manipulation or intimidation will not succeed. Consequences enforced with composure also prevent escalation and minimize opportunities for further manipulation. Over time, the narcissist begins to recognize that crossing your boundaries has tangible, predictable results and that attempts to override your limits are ineffective. This understanding creates a dynamic in which respect is more likely to develop, not out of affection or warmth, but out of acknowledgement for your consistency, strength, and self-possession. Demonstrating consequences without drama is crucial because it removes the emotional leverage they rely on, reinforces your authority, and shows that you operate from a place of control and clarity, which is one of the few ways a narcissist truly acknowledges and respects another person. Stop negotiating value is about refusing to justify, explain, or prove your worth to a narcissist. Narcissists thrive when others feel the need to convince them of their value because it places the power squarely in their hands. When you negotiate your worth, constantly defending decisions, explaining boundaries, or seeking validation, you reinforce the dynamic of control and dependency that they rely on. Narcissists do not respect attempts to win approval. In fact, these behaviors make you appear pliable, insecure, and easy to manipulate. True respect comes from demonstrating that your value is inherent, non-negotiable, and independent of their recognition. By stopping the need to justify yourself, you assert authority over your own life and signal that your worth is not contingent on their opinion or approval. This principle is crucial because it removes the leverage they typically use to influence or dominate you, forcing them to interact with you on your terms. Over time, refusing to negotiate your value establishes a pattern of self-possession and consistency, which narcissists, despite their resistance, begin to recognize. It also empowers you to maintain boundaries without guilt, avoiding the emotional drain that comes from constantly defending yourself. Ultimately, by ceasing to negotiate your value, you shift the dynamic from one of dependency and manipulation to one where respect is earned through strength, self-respect, and unwavering clarity, qualities that narcissists instinctively respond to and over time learn to acknowledge. Empowerment through clarity is about the culmination of all the previous steps, creating a state where your boundaries, self-respect, and emotional independence are fully established and consistently maintained. Narcissists respect only what challenges them, what cannot be manipulated, and what demonstrates unwavering self-possession. When you operate from clarity, knowing your worth, enforcing limits without hesitation, and refusing to negotiate your value, you remove ambiguity that they could exploit. This clarity signals strength, consistency, and independence, qualities that narcissists instinctively recognize, even if they do not admit it openly. Empowerment through clarity also reinforces your own confidence, reduces vulnerability to manipulation, and allows you to engage with the narcissist from a position of control rather than reaction. By being clear about who you are, what you will tolerate, and how you respond to attempts at control, you create a framework in which respect is unavoidable. They may not express admiration or warmth, but they acknowledge your boundaries and authority, which is the closest approximation of respect they can offer. This stage is crucial because it transforms the dynamic. Interactions are no longer about compliance, approval, or negotiation. They are about mutual recognition of limits and autonomy. Empowerment through clarity ensures that the narcissist cannot undermine your self-worth, and it solidifies a pattern where they must adapt to your consistent strength. It is the ultimate demonstration that respect is earned through independence, self-possession, and unwavering adherence to your own principles. When it comes to earning respect from a narcissist, the process is not about pleasing, negotiating, or trying to gain approval through compliance. Narcissists do not respond to flattery, justification, or attempts to appease them because these behaviors signal weakness and dependence, which they instinctively exploit. The key to earning any acknowledgement or respect lies in your ability to honor yourself first through clear, non-negotiable boundaries, consistent behavior, and unwavering self-respect. By setting firm limits and enforcing them calmly without drama or overreaction, you signal that your value is independent of their approval. Emotional independence is equally critical. When your confidence, decisions, and self-worth are not contingent on their reactions, you remove the leverage they typically use to manipulate and control. Consistency and clarity reinforce your authority. Any wavering invites further testing, while steady adherence to your principles creates an environment the narcissist cannot easily influence. Importantly, you must stop negotiating your value. Refusing to explain, justify, or prove your worth prevents them from maintaining control and reinforces your autonomy. Empowerment comes from clarity, the demonstration that your life, boundaries, and sense of self are not negotiable. Over time, the narcissist, who is accustomed to dominance and manipulation, begins to recognize that their usual tactics are ineffective. And while they may not express warmth or genuine admiration, they acknowledge your strength. In the end, respect from a narcissist is earned not through appeasement or compliance, but through unwavering self-possession, consistent boundaries, emotional independence, and the refusal to allow their influence to undermine your autonomy. It is the strength, clarity, and empowerment of the self that commands recognition.